Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely huge. We're looking at a text that goes way beyond a simple story about princes in exile. We're diving deep into the Ramayana to explore its profound architecture of moral order. We want to understand exactly why this ancient epic still defines ethical decision-making and, honestly, how its framework perfectly applies to the choices we make today.
Here's our agenda for today. Number 1, the landscape of Dharma. 2, the cost of righteousness. 3, Sita's critical devotion. 4, the tragedy of Ravana. And finally, number 5, ancient wisdom for modern leaders. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The landscape of Dharma.
To truly grasp the moral order of the Ramayana, we have to start at its very foundation. Look at this research from the International Journal of Arts and Social Science. It brilliantly points out that this epic is absolutely not just a fairy tale. It's actually a massive, complex encyclopedia of cultural and moral values. It's a text that basically affirms that ethics are central to literally everything we do as humans.
So what is Dharma, really? Well, the crucial thing to remember is that Dharma is far larger than just religion. Back in the Vedic age, it was closely tied to something called Rita, which is essentially cosmic ordinance or universal harmony. Dharma regulates human activity to maintain that exact harmony. You know, it's your social duty, your obligation, and your own self-initiated ethical action all rolled into one single concept. It literally is the architecture of moral order.
Now, this might surprise you, but when you read the text closely, you realize the most intense, nail-biting conflicts aren't actually about good versus evil. Not at all. They're about navigating right versus right. And that is the very essence of moral complexity, isn't it? What on earth do you do when two completely valid, completely ethical paths collide?
Section 2. The cost of righteousness.
Let's look at how this moral complexity plays out with King Dasharatha. The man is completely torn between two overwhelmingly powerful forces. On one side, you've got Raja Dharma, a king's absolute non-negotiable duty to uphold the truth and honor his royal promises. If he breaks a solemn promise, he completely destabilizes the social and cosmic order. But on the other side, Putra Sneha, his deep, agonizing, overwhelming personal love for his son Rama. Dasharatha made a promise, and now, to honor it, he's forced to exile the son he loves more than anything.
And here's the kicker. Dasharatha's incredible suffering doesn't happen because he did something wrong. It actually comes from his moral integrity. By choosing his royal duty over his own personal happiness, he lays down a really profound principle. Leaders have to act with integrity, not convenience. Dharma isn't about doing what makes you happy, it's about preserving the greater moral order, even if it completely breaks your own heart.
Then we have Rama's response to his father's command, which essentially sets the ethical baseline for the rest of the epic. He perfectly embodies Putra Dharma, the duty of a son. He accepts this massive, life-altering exile without even a hint of bitterness or emotional drama. And that lack of bitterness, it's absolutely critical to the moral order. Because think about it, harboring resentment would just poison his dharmic action from the inside out. Instead, he shows this unbelievable magnanimity and inner discipline, putting the moral order way above his own rightful comfort as the heir to the throne.
Section 3. Sita's critical devotion.
Okay, this next part is fascinating because it completely shatters our modern assumptions about female characters in ancient texts. Far from being just a dependent, submissive wife standing in the background, Sita actively claims her right to fulfill her chosen dharma. Her devotion is a form of highly active, critical agency. She doesn't just follow Rama into the forest because she has to. She actively chooses the path of exile through reasoned, ethical choice. She is an equal moral partner.
Just listen to this quote. When Hanuman finds Sita held captive in Lanka and offers to literally carry her away to safety, she turns him down. She says, "It would not be proper for me to go with you of my own accord. Moreover, the glory of my husband's victory would be diminished if he did not come himself to rescue me." It's an incredible moment. She prioritizes ethical considerations and honor over an easy, quick escape. She steps up as the ultimate guardian of their shared dharmic path, fully aware that sneaking away in secret would totally undermine the moral victory they need to achieve.
Academic researchers actually refer to this as critical devotion. And as you can see from this research, it provides a stunning model for relationships. It combines deep reverence with razor-sharp ethical discernment, which is known as viveka, rather than just blind submission. She is constantly evaluating incredibly complex situations.
In fact, she repeatedly challenges Rama's perspective when she feels it's necessary. A great example is when she directly critiques his decision to pursue the golden deer. She sees it as adharmic, basically straying from their ethical path. She totally redefines a wife's duty, Sri Dharma. It's not about mindless obedience. It's an existential, rock-solid commitment to a shared moral integrity. She is literally willing to endure extraordinary suffering rather than compromise the truth.
Section 4. The Tragedy of Ravana.
Now, let's flip things and look at the epic's primary antagonist, because the moral architecture applies just as much to the villains. It is so tempting to just write Ravana off as pure evil, but the texts show us that in Hinduism, nobody is completely evil. Everyone originates from the divine. Ravana is actually a profoundly complex, deeply tragic figure. Believe it or not, he possessed some truly awe-inspiring virtues long before his terrible fall.
I mean, check out this resume. It's unreal. His famous 10 heads, they literally symbolize his immense scholarly mastery of the 4 Vedas and 6 Shastras. The guy was an exceptional poet, an expert politician, even an Ayurvedic doctor. And get this, under his rule, there was essentially no poverty. The poorest inhabitants of his kingdom were remarkably well off. Learning about all these incredible accomplishments actually makes his eventual moral failure that much more devastating.
So, what happened? His tragic downfall wasn't because he had some inherently demonic nature. It was a catastrophic failure to control his own senses. He allowed his unchecked ego, his lust, and his selfish desires to completely override his immense education. Ravana's story serves as a giant flashing warning sign. It tells us that even the most educated, the most capable, and most successful leaders on earth can be utterly destroyed if they abandon discipline and spiritual remembrance just to chase personal gratification.
Section 5. Ancient Wisdom, Modern Leaders. So, bringing it all together, how does this ancient architecture of moral order actually apply to us right now? Well, the Ramayana is essentially a foundational blueprint for what we call today transformational and servant leadership. Rama's entire journey is defined by one thing: focusing on the welfare and growth of others before his own personal ambition. He builds bonds based on service, not control. And, that is the literal definition of servant leadership.
Okay, you have to see this breakdown. It brilliantly illustrates the direct parallels to modern management. We can take Rama's journey and literally map it onto the 4 phases of modern corporate strategy. Accepting his exile? That's environmental scanning, understanding the political realities to ensure institutional stability, which aligns perfectly with UN Sustainable Development Goals 16. Forming an alliance with Sugriva? That is strategy formulation and building partnerships for goals. His war tactics are strategy implementation, and his post-conflict reflection? That's evaluation and control, demonstrating incredible adaptive learning. This idea of values-based leadership completely bridges the gap between ancient ethics and today's corporate boardrooms. Top executives today, like Microsoft's Satya Nadella, are actually echoing Rama's framework. They're proving that if you have a long-term vision and you guide it with unwavering ethical values and a real commitment to serving others, you achieve the most meaningful and sustainable success. Because let's be real, you can have all the AI and digital tools in the world, but the core of effective decision-making is always going to be moral clarity.
Because at the end of the day, the Ramayana isn't just a history lesson on ancient kings or mythological battles. It is holding a mirror right up to us. It's asking us how we choose to govern our own lives every single day. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. When your personal desires conflict with your greater duties, when you're forced to choose between what is easy and what preserves the moral order, which dharma will you choose?